Hi everyone, this is Josh Hart. I'm spokesperson for Feather River Action, and today we decided to take a tour of some land that was last year thinned, aka logged. It was a Fire Safe Council project, and they came in here with masticators and feller bunchers and they thinned the forest basically dramatically. This was done last summer by the Fire Safe Council using public funds. This is private land next to the Feather River. It's about a mile west of Portola. You can see that there are some shrubs that are coming back. Trying to come back after being killed, masticated, and significant ruts in the land, areas that have been compacted, and this was done for months. The work was going on for months last summer, all night long. 3 a.m. in the morning. There was just a hugely loud noise, kept people awake through the whole area, and there was really no notification of neighbors that this was going to be happening. But you can see, this is pretty boring landscape. It just kind of feels like we're walking and not getting anywhere. If you look at the aerial view, which is provided below, before and after, it looks like termites have been at this land. And there were a variety of age of trees. Now there's really no young trees around, or at least very few. They came in and damaged old growth shrubs, crucial habitat. And what this has done is basically left a large area where the sun can penetrate through the canopy, dry out the soil, and when there is an inevitable wildfire, the science says that, I'll just pan to the right here, the science says that the winds will travel through this area and push the fire at an even higher rate of speed into populated areas, reducing the chance for people to evacuate ahead of the flames. So the Fire Safe Council claims that this kind of work reduces fire risk to nearby communities, but the science says something really different, and they've not been able to provide me, oh, there's a hawk. They've not been able to provide me with science that shows that any thinning beyond 200 feet from structures has any effect on the survival of those structures in a wildfire. As far as tourism goes, why would you want to drive 5 hours from the Bay Area to walk through this or recreate on these damaged lands when you could stay closer to home and visit open space that is protected and not damaged like this? So you can see just everywhere around is just torn up. The soil has been damaged. All the small trees have been cut, and there are some small shrubs, ceanothus right here, that are trying to come back, but you can see that everything was really damaged. There's obviously some mule's ears on the ground, but it's just the kind of emptiness of this landscape is really something that is quite dramatic and sad. This is land that was second growth, recovering from past logging, and they've just dealt it a blow that it's set the ecology back for sure. And just everywhere there's just torn up soil. This doesn't promote the growth of healthy shrubs or anything like that. So what does actually protect homes and structures in a wildfire? It's not this kind of thing, or damaging the backcountry through intensive industrial logging and sending machines out to compact the soil and strip the land bare. It's home hardening. We know that, and the agencies do say this. CAL FIRE, you see at the local hardware store, there's a banner from CAL FIRE, and it says, start at the home and work your way out in terms of defensible space. And this is nowhere near homes. You can see, just gonna pan around here, there's no homes in this area, and they've just really devastated this land with public monies. So instead of funding the things that really do make a difference according to the science, which is home hardening, defensible space, evacuation planning, which we've seen very little of in this area despite the massive fires that have hit in the past few years. We have $650 million of public federal money ostensibly going to the quote-unquote community protection project, the so-called, what we're calling the community destruction project. And I'm going to show you in a little bit the land that they want to turn into this, which is really sad and impoverished landscape. I would use that word very specifically. It's impoverished. There's not much growing. Obviously, if they let it alone for 10 years, a lot would come back. But their plan is to continue to come back and damage this land so that nature cannot take over. So this $650 million in federal money that's going to fund backcountry logging and mature and old growth forests to turn them from wild places into impoverished places like this should be going to home hardening and defensible space. And you got to question whether the protection of life and property is really the top priority of these agencies, or whether they're using people's fear of wildfire to justify extreme logging that wouldn't have been politically possible. That they're using these wildfire emergencies to justify logging on an extreme level that just wouldn't have been possible before. People wouldn't have put up with it. And I do know that apart from that hawk that we saw earlier, there's not a lot of people here, so it's probably a decent place for hawks to hang out. But I don't hear birdsong. I don't hear evidence of any animals, which really is different to the other forest, the part of the forest that's not been impoverished like this. And just just put yourself in the position of an animal in this area, a deer or other animal, or prey animal. There's nowhere to hide, There's just I can't even see a significant shrub or thicket to hide in. This is important because deer, mule deer in particular, they hide their fawns in thickets. And the reason why they're spotted is that it's basically camouflage, so that when they're in a thicket and there's dappled sun and shadows, they are invisible to predators. And their mothers lick them clean so they don't have a scent. And so if you were a mother deer, where would you stash your... There's an oil canister and an oily, looks like an oily sweatshirt just left here. But yeah, the point is that this is the Feather River watershed. This is right on the edge of the Feather River. Crucial wildlife habitat. And yet it's been basically eviscerated, impoverished, destroyed. and you know, animals don't have a place to hide, prey animals. So it's not it's not habitat for anyone. It's kind of like a ecological desert out here. And in fact, you know, this kind of landscape dries out really fast because the sun and the wind can penetrate the understory, and that dries out the forest and makes it more prone to burning. It makes it less possible for the forests and the trees to remain resilient in the face of severe climate impacts. You know, this is a damaged landscape. And next we'll go to the area that they want to turn into this, to see what the difference is and kind of talk about that.